Good afternoon, folks, and welcome back to a new Beer River Flies fly tying tutorial. Today we're starting off with the standard dry fly hook, size 16 from Montana Fly Company. I'll also be using some Vivas 10-aught black thread. We're going to start our thread a couple eye lengths behind the hook eye, taking a few wraps back and cutting our excess free. This lays down a thread base for our parapost. Speaking of parapost, this Fulling Mill Hi-Vis Parapost is probably one of my favorite materials I've ever found to make posts out of. This fluorescent pink lights up with a little bit of UV light. We're going to take a couple securing wraps over it, ensuring that it stays on top of the hook. After that, we can pull our parapost up, taking a couple securing wraps on either side of the material. This kind of locks it in place and keeps it from shifting back or forward. Now, a lot of people have different ways to do this, but what I like to do is pull my parapost material up like this, take a wrap around, and catch it with my middle finger, keeping the thread tight as I go around. I find this the easiest and fastest way for me to do this, but you do what works for you. Ideally, we want to make the post about as tall with our thread as the same distance from the shank to the hook eye. So it should look like a perfect L. After we get to the top, we'll start wrapping our thread back downward towards the base. Now that we've reached the base, we can take a couple securing wraps, about 4 or so on each side, to lock that post in place and keep it from moving back or forward. This keeps the post rigid. That ain't going nowhere. Now we can take our thread back behind the post and we're going to wrap back to the hook bend. At this point, we're going to grab some moose mane. This is my own brand. And we're just going to cut a few fibers free to make a tail. You cut as much as you like. I couldn't tell you how many I use, probably somewhere between 5 and 10. We're going to place that into a hair stacker, give it a couple taps to make the tips aligned, and pull it out. We're going to measure these fibers to about the same length as the hook shank, and then grab that measurement and take it to our tying point. Make sure you don't catch the barb like I just did. Take a couple securing wraps and start working your thread forward towards the post. Now, when I get here, I don't like to tie all the way up. I like to measure my hair out right before the post and clip it free. That way, when I wrap down, it'll wrap down smoothly directly behind the post. Now that we've got that tied in, we can take our thread back, start building up a tapered body. I like to work in thirds. Go about 2/3 of the way back, all the way back up, 1/3 of the way down, all the way back up, and then back down the end to smooth everything out. At this point, we'll let out some thread and we'll grab some dubbing wax. This is from Wapsi. We'll wax our thread really quick. And I really love this dubbing from Nature's Spirit. It's Purple Haze dubbing. We're going to stretch that out thin because this is a Mayfly imitation. We want a thinner body. So we're going to thin out our dubbing. See how light that is? Don't be afraid to lighten up your dubbing. You can always add more. It's hard to take some away. We'll add our dubbing to the hook, and using some tight pressure, we'll start spinning our dubbing onto the thread. At this point, we can start dubbing our body using tight touching wraps. And we'll wrap all the way up to the parapost, ensuring that we have a nice tapered body. And we'll move our thread in front of the parapost. At this point, we'll take some Whiting Farms brown saddle hackle, and we're going to strip about a 1/4 inch or a little bit more than the length of our parapost. We're going to tie this with the dull side facing out. The concave angle of the feathers will be sticking down when we bend this at a 90-degree angle. We'll secure the stem in with a couple wraps. We'll bring our thread up and around the post and start securing our hackle all the way up to the top of the post. You can clip off the excess if you would like to, or you can wait till the end. Sometimes it gets in the way. Continue wrapping up, securing the stem all the way along the side of the parapost. Once you reach the top, you can start wrapping back down. At this point, we're going to grab, this is actually from Keough, Grizzly saddle hackle. Strip off the same amount so we have a tie-in point on the stem. Place that directly up against our brown hackle on the outside of it. And we'll use a couple wraps to secure the stem of our grizzly hackle. Once we've got that secured, we can repeat our actions again, just like we did with the brown hackle. And we will wrap up the post until we get to the top, ensuring that our hackles stay aligned. Once we reach the top of the thread post, we can start wrapping back down. At this point, we'll grab a little bit more wax our thread once again, and grab just a pinch more dubbing. You don't need very much at all. This is just enough to cover the head. See, I even grabbed too much here, so I'll just take a little pinch out of this. Does not take much at all. We'll dub it onto our thread with slight pressure. can pull our hackle out of the way and start dubbing the head. At this point, I like to pull my hackle forward and wrap on either side of it. This further secures the post. Still too much dubbing. And then we'll pull our thread around it, getting it ready to tie in our hackle. At this point, we'll separate the hackle from the parapost, bend it at a 90-degree angle, and start counter wrapping it against our post. I like to take close touching turns. And we'll continue wrapping until we reach the base of our parapost. Once we get here, we'll pull our thread up directly against the body. We'll take a couple securing wraps over the top of the hackle between the base of the post. And then we'll pull our hackle up, and we'll do the same thing, taking a couple securing wraps underneath our hackle in the base of the post. At this point, our hackle should be pretty secure, and we can clip it off close at the base. Now, I like to take this a little trick I learned. Whoop, way too much super glue. It's okay, we'll just take our fingers, wipe off the excess really quick, thin it out, and we're going to ride this right along the body of the fly, making sure we don't touch any of that hackle. And this is just going to secure it. You don't have to whip finish it all. I promise you this works, and it will not come undone. We're going to keep even pressure against the post until that glue sets in about 5 seconds. We can pull our thread forward, making sure that's secured. Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. And then we can clip our thread free. At this point, we can take our parapost, and what I like to do is pull it back and measure it to the back of the body. We'll take our scissors and cut it even with the back of the body, or the beginning of the taper towards the tail. Comes out as a perfect size for me every single time. Take our finger, and we can kind of fluff up that parapost a little bit. There she is, the Purple Haze Parachute. Built to fool fish during a mayfly hatch, the Purple Haze rides low like a natural caught in the surface film, but it throws just enough color to stand out in the crowd. That purple body, it doesn't match any one bug, but it suggests a lot. It's just buggy enough, just bold enough, and trout can't help themselves. When they're sipping dries and playing hard to get, this is the pattern that gets picked. And that is what you see when the sunlight hits it. So if you are an angler like me that has trouble seeing smaller flies, especially smaller dark flies, this Fulling Mill Parapost is irreplaceable. Thank you guys for joining me today. Keep the rods bent and the beers cold. I'll see you out there.